The hospital corridors smelled faintly of disinfectant and exhaustion. Nurse Emma Hayes moved quickly between rooms, her soft sneakers barely making a sound on the white tiles. It was nearly midnight, but her shift wasn't over not until she checked on every single patient on her list. That's how she was. Tireless, compassionate. Some said she cared too much. She didn't mind. Caring too much was the only thing that ever gave her life meaning. But that night, someone caught her attention. In room 37, a man lay pale and quiet, connected to machines that beeped steadily. He wasn't like the others. There was a calmness in his expression, a sadness that ran deeper than illness. "Good evening, Mr. Blake," Emma said gently, adjusting his IV line. He turned his head slowly, his voice hoarse. "You remembered my name. I remember all my patients," she said with a faint smile. "But you look like someone who hasn't smiled in a very long time." He let out a quiet chuckle. "That's accurate." What Emma didn't know was that Daniel Blake was in. Just any patient. He was the CEO of one of the biggest construction companies in the country. But behind the empire and power, he was utterly alone. His wife had died in a car accident 5 years ago. Since then, his life had become an endless list of board meetings, contracts, and empty dinners. His kidney failure had been the first thing in years to slow him down and make him confront how lonely he truly was. As the weeks passed, Emma became his light in the sterile darkness. She never treated him like a powerful man, never once seemed impressed by his name. To her, he was simply Daniel, the patient who liked his coffee to bitter and couldn't sleep without listening to old jazz tunes. But then came the news that crushed them both. "There's still no matching donor," the doctor told Daniel one morning. Her heart clenched. She'd seen patients lose their battles before, but not him, not Daniel. That night, after her shift ended, she made a decision that would change both their lives forever. A week later, Daniel woke up from surgery. His throat was dry, his body weak, but he felt alive. It was a young nurse from this hospital. She insisted on remaining anonymous. Daniel's mind spun. A nurse? "Why would someone I barely know?" she said. "She knew you needed another chance." Weeks passed before Daniel recovered enough to walk. He was determined to find her. He found her by chance 2 months later at a small park near the hospital. She was sitting on a bench, her hair tied up messily, reading a book. She looked thinner, paler. When she saw him, her eyes widened in surprise. "Daniel," she whispered, "you're walking." "I am," he said softly. "Because of you." He sat beside her, emotion heavy in his voice. "Why did you do it, Emma?" "You barely knew me." She smiled faintly, eyes glistening. "Because you looked like someone who'd forgotten what it felt like to live. I didn't donate my kidney to save your body, Daniel. I did it to give you another chance at life." Daniel stared at her, unable to speak. From that day on, Daniel refused to let her disappear again. Began visiting her daily, sometimes bringing coffee, sometimes just sitting quietly beside her during her breaks. Slowly, their bond deepened. Her mother struggled with illness. Emma had spent her entire life giving, never asking for anything in return. And for the first time, Daniel wanted to give back. Nurse Emma Hayes. He refused to attend the grand opening without her. When she arrived, dressed in her simple blue uniform, she found a plaque by the entrance that read, "Dedicated to those who give life without expecting anything in return." Tears filled her eyes. Daniel stood behind her, smiling gently. "You gave me a second life, Emma. The least I can do is help you save others." She turned to him. "You don't owe me anything. I know," he said softly, "but I want to spend the rest of my life trying anyway." Late-night conversations and the unspoken bond between two lonely souls who found healing in each other. Years later, as they stood together at the hospital's rooftop garden watching the sunset, Daniel wrapped his arm around her. "Funny," he said, "was us." Emma smiled, resting her head against his shoulder. She had given him part of her heart when she gave her kidney. What neither of them realized at the time was that they were both saving each other in different ways. He found life, and she found love. Moral: true wealth isn't measured by what we own, but by what we give, and the hearts we touch when we do.